What's up, traders? Anthony Crudele here, and welcome to 10-Minute Technicals. This week, I'm going to go over why I'm bullish all the major indexes, and I'm going to give you my targets next week for RTY, NQ, and ES. Now, in this show, I focus on the futures markets. If you're interested in trading futures markets right here on TradingView, go to tradestation.com/Anthony. And for new customers, you get 50% off the brokerage fees for the lifetime of your account, and you can connect your TradeStation account right here to TradingView. Today, we're going to start off with the E-mini Nasdaq. Every morning, I put out a free note. It's at anthonycrudele.com. It's also in my free Discord. And I've been talking about waiting for the Bollinger Bands to come back inward. And once we do, we're going to use my free indicator right here on TradingView called Beacon, which I've been using for 2 decades. And it will help give me an idea of market environment and when I think the market turns back to bullish, which it has now, because we've been in a little bit of a slide lately in the indexes. But now I think we're headed higher into next week. I'm going to give you my targets. We're looking at 20-period, 3 standard deviation Bollinger Bands. We also have the auto-anchored VWAP to the beginning of the year. And that's just a VWAP that you take and you auto-anchor it to the first trading day of the year. And I get some questions about this. Also have the BADJ. It's adjusted for contract changes. As you know, with futures markets, we have rollovers. So if you click this button, it'll adjust for the contract rolls because we've already been through so far March, and now we're in the June contract in futures markets. So you might have a different auto-anchored VWAP. I also have the 5-day simple moving average, which I will use as a guide heading into this week. And that's it. And for me as a trader, it comes down to the simple things. I want to know if I want to be bullish, I want to be long, or I want to be short. And coming into every single day in my free morning note and in my Discord, I talk about what direction, what market environment are we in. And right now we're in a bull mode. We're coming off of this little bit of a slide, and here's my reasons why. Starting off with the Nasdaq. Look at these Bollinger Bands. Anytime the Bollinger Bands are going outward and we're going down like you see here, that just means that we're in range expansion. So when the mouth of the Bollinger Bands are looking like this, opening up like a mouth, we're in range expansion. You're going to have a lot of volatility within the market. You have just expanding of ranges and potentially continuation in that direction, which was lower. But once those Bollinger Bands start to come back in, and you see them come back inward and they start to close, and now you have this change of environment. And it's never going to pick the bottom perfectly. I'm not in this business to try and pick tops or bottoms perfectly. 25 years in, I can tell you I've probably never picked a top or a bottom perfectly. And even if I have, I never held it long enough for me to make a ton of money on it because we never know it's a top or a bottom until way after. So what we need to do is we need to find lows or highs that we can trade off of. So I look at tradable lows or tradable highs. And by using this simple strategy with Bollinger Bands and my beacon indicator, which is 30%, 50%, and 70% levels. He's basically drawing a fib on each of the Bollinger Band peaks. It helps you gauge market environment. And so then I box that level, that area out. So once those Bollinger Bands start to come back inward like this, we have this blue, which comes in at 17,548 in the NASDAQ. That's key support. That's also the 5-day moving average. I really like when I see that because this gives me an absolutely very important area to watch. If we hold this level into next week, I will continue to trade long, only to the long side, because I want to know, once again, long or short coming into the day. I think day traders think too much about too many directions intraday, and most of you are probably getting chopped up because you're trading too many different directions. You're long, you're short, you're short, you're long. I just look for one direction based upon the current market environment using this simple strategy, and that's bullish right now. So any pullbacks in the NASDAQ down to 548, 554 area Sunday night into Monday, I am a buyer. I know it's a few hundred points away from where we are right now, so we may not even get down there. I actually don't expect us to get down there, but I'll use short-term strategies and I'll continue to look for us to push higher. 17,925 is that auto-anchored VWAP. If it pushes above there, I think it's a quick move, 130-point move up to 18,055, which is my yellow area, which is just a 50% line between the top Bollinger Band peak and the bottom Bollinger Band right now. I think it goes there this week. I think that's where we're headed. And I will trade pretty aggressively to the long side intraday until we get to that level. I will just continue to buy dips. Of course, you have to manage risk. But this is one of my favorite environments. And it's one of my favorite environments because the overall trend is higher, okay? It doesn't matter what everybody says, it's a bull or a bear market. This market has been in a massive bull market, okay, for a good period of time now. And anytime I see a mean reversion lower and then I get a beacon signal, which is what I've talked about with my indicator, telling me to get back long within that primary trend, that tells me that this is my favorite trade. I want to get back in and I want to start participating to the long side. Now, what I also think is this low could be a really significant low. And I actually do think there's the potential if we get daily closes above 17,925, we can go to 18,562 would be my next resistance and potentially make new highs from the year. So this low to me right now is of major significance. And I will continue to trade off of 17,554 to 548 this week because I think that area is key support. If it fails to hold there and that Bollinger Band starts to come back down like this, then I'm wrong and the market could start to head lower. So that's what we're looking at for Nasdaq. Okay. Now let's take a look at E-mini S&P. Actually, we'll go to the Russell and we'll end with the E-mini S&P. Let's go to the RTY. You know, the RTY has been just really gotten beat up this year. And it makes sense because the RTY is so closely tied to what's going to happen with the 10-year and interest rates. And unless you've been living in a bubble, you know that rates that you can see up here, the 10Y, the 10-year is at 4.65. And so 10-year yields are at highs, ZN is near lows. And so that's going to be a major weight on the Russell. And so the Russell, even though I am bullish right now, it's my least favorite index to probably trade to the long side, just because the mere fact that we need the ZN to start to rally with Russell to really give a lift, because who knows, we may not get rate cuts. And I think that's going to continue to be a headwind for the Russell. It's just not something that's going to help its bullish case on the technicals. But nonetheless, Russell 1976 is key support. If it holds above it this week, I expect a test of 2050 in the Russell. 2038 is the auto-anchored VWAP for the year. So really 2038 to 2050, I think it hits it this week. It's probably going to be some resistance for the Russell. I don't foresee myself trading this market too aggressive. I traded a little bit on Friday. You'll see ebbs and flows of it between the Nasdaq and the Russell, where it's really strong, and then all of a sudden the Nasdaq or the S&P will start to rally, and the Russell kind of just gets unfavored. I expect that divergence to continue, but nonetheless, that's what I'm looking at in the Russell for next week. Above 2050, you could see, especially if the 10-year starts to rally and yields come down, 2124 would be that next level. Last but not least, the E-mini S&P. This is the market I actually like the most of the long side this week. This is the clearest picture for me. And it is because when you look at the E-mini S&P, from a technical basis, it's actually the strongest market. Okay, and the reason why is because it's above the auto-anchored VWAP. It's well above the 5-day moving average. Okay, I just think the S&P is headed to 5186 this week. This week, my focus is long E-mini S&P. I will use short-term strategies. I will be in full positions. It's my most aggressive look right now. Once again, why is this my favorite look? Because primary trend is up. We had a mean reversion back mode back in the sell-off. Everybody got bearish. We had a pretty decent low. I think this is a good low to trade off of. I think this could be the low before we make new all-time highs once again. I think this low is of major significance. And because you had some steep selling with some decent volume, and we regained the auto-anchored VWAP. We've regained the 5-day moving average, starting to slope back upward. Beacon indicator came in. Bollinger Bands are getting inward. VIX came lower. Rates are probably done going higher for now. I see all these reasons for me to just want to be long S&P. I know it may not fit the narrative for some macro people or for some other technical traders, but for me right now, if we say above 50.89 in the short term, that's very bullish. I think 51.86 test this week. On the big picture, 50.84 to 50.89 is key. If this can hold, I think we continue to make new all-time highs. If we fail to hold that and that bottom Bollinger starts to come back down, then I'm wrong. I stop looking long and we can go back lower. But above 51.86, 53.06, and then above 53.06, 54.86, I think it's all very doable right now, just because we've turned back into a very bullish market environment. That does it for this week's 10-minute technicals. If you like this show, please share it on social media. You can follow me on X at Anthony Crudele. If you're watching here on YouTube, please give me the thumbs up and reshare this post if you enjoyed it. Have a great trading week, everyone.